Okay, we move on to Jungle Knight. This is going to be one of our longer courses, just because we don't have our turbo and the course is quite long, and we do also have to visit it twice, so let's just jump straight in. So the beginning of this course is actually quite hectic. We aren't going to interact with a couple of the Pokemon, like the Yanmega that we can hear above us, but we are going to interact with this Liepard, walking up here a few hundred extra points, scanning these Bounsweet on the left. You can take the Arbok here, or wait and take a slightly better but riskier photo by turning around. And then on the left, we do have our Metapod. The idea of bonking the Metapod comes up because it does happen on the daytime visit. There we go, got the Arbok there. But bonking the Metapod doesn't do anything. For the Arbok, I would be very careful. Because of a log that goes across its body, it can actually eat the picture. The idea of going further down the path and then just doing a full zoom is much better, but you have to figure out the timing if you're going to do that Arbok. If you don't particularly care about the points, I just suggest taking the Arbok as you were in front of the log instead of waiting until you're behind it. I zoomed a bit because there really isn't much going on, but we are going to take one picture up here. It's going to be the Toucannon. There are actually two Toucannon here, but the one on the right is worth like 100 more points for being closer, but is also just more sideways, so don't really bother with it. There are other Pokemon here, Ledian and Ariados, but they're just hard to get good photos of, and not really a good possibility of being repeats, at least in the any percent run. One of the options you have for Morelull are just going to be these two chaps right here, just checking on the side of the road. I will also show one later with Morelull at the end of the level, especially if you're needing more points. I always get interested with these Toucannon. I flash up just to show what they were. In theory, I think they could be a really good picture, but they're so much harder because they're moving compared to the Toucannon I took earlier that I don't really think it's a true consideration. It's just something that I'm interested to see if somebody does add them into their route. This Pikipek is one of the first and only instances where I've seen runners, including myself, just scan to be able to identify where the Pikipek is. We're taking it because it's a repeat of the Pikipek we took in Jungle Day, and not because it's a particularly good photo. It's actually really well hidden, and if one of the issues of playing Japanese is if you don't know what a Japanese Pikipek text looks like, you could be in a bit of trouble. There's a Wooper below me. I've seen some routes there ignore the Wooper if you're going to prioritize more on taking 3 pictures on the revisit. That being said, Wooper is adorable. Definitely one of the cutest pictures. I think I was well late on the turnaround here, so I end up with a Wooper not looking towards the camera, but you'll usually get a Wooper that's looking a bit silly. For the Yanmega, we definitely want to make sure that it has an apple so we can do our trick when we do our revisit. This flower is absolute troll. Make sure that you're like relatively close to the flower. For Magikarp, scan to get it to jump, and then just take it with the waterfall in the background. The waterfall is good background points for all these photos, as is the flower for this Quagsire photo. You don't need to zoom with the Quagsire photo, and as long as the flower is also in it, you're going to get a lot of points. Again, be really careful with the flower. If you miss the flower, you'll have to go through this whole level again, and you won't even be able to do the zoom like I did with the Toucannon. For the Morelull, if you've already taken the one earlier, don't worry about it, but this is going to be over 5,000 points sometimes if you get the exact pose and size points that you can potentially get with these 2 Morelull. So this is our first visit to Jungle. The points we'll be going through, but I do want to take a moment here before we get into it on the importance of star values. So in regards to Pokemon that we're going to see in the future, we are going to be taking a picture of Yanmega. We can also take a picture of Bounsweet, Liepard, and if everything's gone completely tits up, we might also take a picture of Arbok. So we need to be conscious about what star values we have on these photos. For the Yanmega, we definitely want to be feeding it, so we can then take a 1 star, just a regular Yanmega with no interaction on the revisit. For the Bounsweet, we want to scan. It gives us a lot more points, but it also makes sure that the flying Bounsweet that we can't really interact with is a 1-star. You can see on the left there the Wooper picture that you're meant to take, the 4,500 photo.
Nice work.
I love Quagsire with the flower. It's not as good as day 1 there from like research level 3, but it's always worth so many points. That's a really good Magikarp, by the way. And nice flower. So, in the Liepard, we want to make sure that we bonk. Again, for more points, but also just so we can get out of the research level as quickly as possible. If you don't take the Wooper, you're kind of hoping for about 8,800 points. If you do take the Wooper, say that's 4,300, you would then just need 4,500, which is going to be the Yanmega, and definitely the Liepard will be more than enough. You can also sometimes just do it with the Bounsweet. So this will be what your revisit looks like if you don't take the Wooper, or if you are desperately needing the points. And this should add up to a bit over, hopefully 9,000 points, right? The Yanmega is going to be, say, 3,500, the Liepard is going to be about 3,500, and the Bounsweet is going to be about 1,900, 2,000. If you need it, just wait a little bit more on the Liepard, or if you desperately need it, just wait and bonk the Arbok, which is a miserable thing to have to do. Or don't bonk it if you already have bonked it. That's Jungle Night. It's definitely not as stressful as Jungle Day, and since it's relatively early in the run, if you mess it up, like if you miss the flower or something, you are probably going to be just resetting the whole run. But I do think it's a really fun map, and it's one that I don't particularly stress about, which makes it pleasant. That being said, thank you for watching these guides. I want to see some people doing some runs here and utilizing some of these strats here, so if you're thinking about that, hit us up in the Discord or hit me up in the comments here, and I'm always happy to answer questions. That said, thank you for joining me. See you on the next one.